be live on TV? Do the TV people have this going? Is the video working? Okay. Okay. The Planning Commission meeting of May 8, 2019 will come to order. I'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Secretary will call the roll.
Commissioner Tolson. Here. Commissioner Castleberry.
Here.
Commissioner Rice.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Mann.
Here.
Chairperson Hodge.
Here. May I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Motion is made by Commissioner Castleberry. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Tolson. Barring any objection, the agenda stands approved.
The motion was made by Commissioner Rice.
It was?
Yeah.
Somebody doing ventriloquism down there?
We're really good at this.
I tell you, I have to look. I have to start looking up. Okay, very good. The agenda has been approved. Wait till Commissioner Mann is the chair. Okay, approval of the minutes. Before I ask for a motion to approve the minutes, I actually have a comment regarding the minutes. I'll ask, does anybody have any comments regarding the minutes?
No.
No, okay, I do. Specifically, on page 6 of the minutes, second to the last full paragraph, second sentence, this is Chairperson Hodge discussed why he would not support the project. He specifically disagrees with zoning the parcel on the south side of the street as medium density, stating he does not feel that the property is conducive to medium density. I believe that what I said was irrespective of what happens to the property on the north, that the property in the south was inconsistent with and should not be medium density as it was surrounded by single-family, low-density homes. But this paragraph seems to include a negative pregnant that it was only the south side that I objected to as being incompatible with medium density, rather that this medium density project was incompatible with the neighborhoods. And so it's not just the south side. I said that the entirety of the project, including the south side, specific to, without regard to what happens on the north side. So I'd like that to be cleaned up. And then also the word conducive, I'm sure I used a number of adjectives that evening, all appropriate, of course. But I think the one that was most important was to say that it was not compatible with medium density. So if possible, I'd like those changed. With those amendments, the chair would call for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Castleberry this time. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Mann. Absent objection, the minutes will stand approved. Okay, I believe that we have consent. Wait a minute. Declaration of conflict. Secretary will read the declaration of conflict.
If any member of the Planning Commission may have a conflict of interest or any reason why that member must abstain from consideration of any matter on this agenda, he or she should so declare at this time.
Anyone declaring a conflict? No. Seeing none, we'll proceed to item number 7. We have a card. This is the time allotted for public statements or comments on all items other than public hearing items. We do have a card. Vernon Gilveer. Mr. Gilveer, if you'd like to step up.
Thank you. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time, but it's...
You have 3 minutes, sir.
I'm not sure what category this fits in with your agenda, but it's in regard to the Walnut project. And I'll be short and sweet. I don't know.
Go right ahead. This is a time for public statements, and you're entitled to your time.
I've written it down, and my name is Vernon Gilveer, as you said, and I live nearby and will be adversely affected by this project. I appreciate this time to comment on your decision to deny the project on Walnut Street. This decision makes a lot of sense based on your assessment of the situation. My thanks to the Planning Department for their correct response in this difficult manner. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. All right, are there any other persons who wish to speak on an item not on the agenda? I saw a hand go up. Do you wish to?
Yeah, kind of confused.
Come on up to the podium. And after you're done speaking, if I could request that you fill out a card.
Yeah, no worries. So I actually live at 1350 Patricia, and I'm just trying to, I don't know exactly know what's going on. I'm trying to get a little bit better understanding. But all I know is that I've lived at that house for a while, and I know you guys are probably trying to put a project there, just like you did a few doors down. And just like it would affect this gentleman, it affects my family a lot. I'm just with my stepdad now. Recently lost my mom, so things are tough right now. And if that project goes up and kicks us out, it makes things a lot harder on us. So like I said, I don't know exactly what's going on with the whole thing, because I don't know everything. But yeah, it's gonna hurt.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I think you're talking about the project that's under the new business item. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you've got 2.5 minutes left. If you'd like to speak at that time as well, I'd call you up. If you'd like to, speak specific to that, there will be a staff report.
Yeah,
maybe that
okay.
will provide some additional information for you, and you'll have an opportunity to say something else that you might think of as a result of the presentation by staff.
Yeah,
So-
I just didn't know.
So why don't you go ahead and fill out a card, and then I'll call you at that time.
Okay.
All righty?
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak under item 7, public statements? Seeing none, we'll go forward. Correspondence. Is there any correspondence from the Deputy Director, City Planner?
None tonight.
Consent calendar. We have 2 consent items. Does anyone wish to pull either of the consent items? Seeing none, may I have a motion for approval of the consent calendar?
So moved.
The motion was made by Commissioner Castleberry, and is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner
Tolson.
Tolson? I almost want to call you Toland, I'm sorry. So, absent any objection, the consent calendar stands approved. Continued business, there is no continued business. We will move on to new business. There is a new business item. Is this a public hearing? Of course it is. This is the time and place set for a public hearing on the consideration of CUP S661 TE number 3. Are there any ex parte communications to report? No. May we have an oral report on this matter by staff?
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Hodge and members of the Planning Commission. The applicant, Maria Mendez, is requesting approval of a 3-year time extension to construct and operate a 12-bed residential care facility located at 1350 Patricia Avenue. No changes are being requested to the previously approved project, and Jennifer Santos is our senior planner, and she'll be providing a detailed presentation before you for this evening. Ms. Jennifer?
I didn't know if we're waiting for them.
Is your mic on?
There we go.
Good evening. The approved residential care facility was previously approved by the Planning Commission on April 8, 2009. In 2012, the project received approval by the Planning Director for a 3-year time extension. The second 3-year time extension was approved by the Planning Commission in 2015. Since that time, Ms. Mendez, who is the applicant, indicates that she has had continued financial constraints in order to move forward with the appropriate financing to get the project underway. To provide a little background, residential care facilities provide a residential setting that doesn't include skilled nursing, but assists with the daily needs of the residents. These facilities have a common activity and kitchen area. The location of the site is located at the south side of Patricia Avenue and is zoned residential high density with a conditional zoning of up to 15 units per acre. Currently, the site and adjacent properties contain single-family homes. To the south is Arroyo Simi, and to the north are properties containing both single-family homes and multifamily projects. This demonstrates that Patricia Avenue has been in a transition for a number of years. Just recently, a few projects down the street, which are these lots right here, includes one development that at 1392 and 1408 Patricia Avenue, they are proposing a 25-unit condominium project in it, which is currently under review. This project right here, the owner received approval, which is located at 1424 Patricia Avenue, for a 28-unit senior complex, which was approved in 2016. And the approved project is still unbuilt. In order to develop the existing project site, the occupied home and associated accessory structures, on-site trees will need to be removed. Additionally, there are overhead utility lines which would be placed underground to the nearest off-site pole. The design of the approved project includes one 1,981 square foot building that consists of an office and lobby in the front area where it is two stories, and then 12 one-bedrooms that will be located on the main level. The interior common areas will include dining and activity spaces for residents. A total of 6 parking spaces were required and 10 were approved for this project. The circular driveway allows vehicles to drop off residents, and there will be a block wall on both sides of the property with a combination retaining wall and wrought iron fence at the rear of the property. The requested 3-year time extension is consistent with the findings referenced in the staff report, in that there have been no changes to the site, the surrounding areas, to the general plan, development code, or other guidelines. No changes have occurred to the site or the surrounding areas that affect the approved environmental determination for the previous project. And due to the cost to complete the site improvements, the applicant continues to have challenges with obtaining the necessary financing to construct the project. Staff recommends approval of the 3-year time extension to CUPS 661, and we are available for any questions.
Questions of staff?
No.
Ms. Santos, in the course of the conversations that you had with the applicant prior to tonight's meeting, was there an inquiry made as to what steps had been taken to demonstrate due diligence to acquire financing and get the project moving along? Was that part of your conversation?
Yeah, she's had challenges of getting the necessary funding due to economic conditions and other personal reasons, but she can obviously, she could better address those questions.
Okay.
And she's available to answer those questions too.
Very good. There being no further questions, we will open the public hearing. I have a card for Ms. Mendez. I've been advised that she's available for comments, although she doesn't expect to provide specifically a presentation. Is that correct, Ms. Mendez? Yes. Could I ask you to come up to the dais, please? Please, I mean, not the dais, rather to the podium. Pull that down there. There you go. I'll defer questions, if any, to the applicant, if there are anybody, commissioners who have questions to the applicant. Ms. Mendez, you heard my question to the staff member. If you could, I don't want to get too deep into your personal matters, and those are your personal matters.
Well,
but if you could share with us some of the efforts that you've made and where you stand, what kind of success you've had to, have you gotten close? What kinds of conditions in the city you're hoping will improve over the course of the next 3 years that might get this project off the ground?
I've been trying to get commercial banks to look at the projects. And of course, I also consider how the current economic or the needs of Simi Valley. It seemed to me that there's so many bigger assisted living that's being built. So that's another factor that I have to consider. So it probably in a year or two, I will see where everything is at, and I will make a decision to extend or to build.
Could you repeat that last sentence?
Okay.
In the next year or two, you'll make a decision whether to extend or build?
In a year or two, I will make a decision if everything, we're so saturated with assisted living right now. as everybody's aware of. And we've had this for a while, and we have our little residential care homes for the elderly for the last 26 years. So I'm so familiar with the business, and that's why I'm really, really thinking if this is a good project to pursue. But in the same token, I don't want to give up my permit because we worked hard and spent money, a lot of money on it. So in a year or two, I'll see how the economy is, and I will make a decision if I'm going to build before it needs another extension, or maybe convert it to a senior apartment instead of an assisted living. So that's my plan at this time.
Okay.
But I've been checking on commercial Montecito banks and all that. So we're moving forward. But it seemed that people are not too willing to give loans to assisted living at this time.
Very good. Any questions? Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay, I believe I have a card. Is it Cody Roque? Rocky? Rocky? Very good. If Mr. Rocky, if you'd like, do you have something else to add? Would you like to speak? Now's the time.
What happens if it doesn't get approved? Can I ask that?
I can.
Well, go ahead. What is your question?
What happens if it doesn't get approved? Can I ask that? I don't know a bunch, so I'm just gonna come up here and shoot my shot. So.
If it's not approved?
Yes.
I believe that,
We just stay. And
well, that means, yeah, you're staying until something gets built. I mean, I don't know who your landlord is. I don't know what those are. But as far as the home being demolished for the purposes of this project is approved, then there's nothing to go forward that would cause the home to be demolished under this project. Okay. But anything else that may happen is subject to whatever else might happen.
Okay. All right. I'm just the only one in the family right now that can come get info on this, and so I'm just coming to know what's going on because I just didn't know if it didn't get the extension, if we had to leave or what was going on. So I appreciate it.
Okay, if you have questions, honest, you could call City Hall, ask to speak to the planning department. They're very forthcoming with providing information, very specific information, or they can have you speak to the city attorney if it's appropriate in terms of if there are legal issues associated with it. But I think if you want to know from the planning perspective, your best opportunity to get some real detailed information is just call and ask to speak to either Ms. Santos or Mr. Peros here, and they'll be happy to speak with you.
All right. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
I have no further cards. Are there any other persons who wish to be heard? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and limit conversation. Are there any questions of staff?
No, but I just want to follow up for Mr. Rocky's comments there. If you do have any questions after you read the staff report, if you want to know more information, I'd be happy to provide it to you. If this project was approved back in 2009, and it's just been on hold all this time, or the applicant has been doing their due diligence to pursue development, but it has not yet occurred. But do understand that there is a lot of development in these neighborhoods, and one by one, the houses are going away and being replaced by higher density development. So that's probably the future for that area.
Are you making the decision for the 3-year extension today, or?
That's what's before the Planning Commission tonight. They'll decide whether or not to grant the 3-year time extension.
Okay.
Okay. And for Mrs. Mendez's benefit, she is exactly correct. Just over the last 3.5 years, we've approved about 5 or 6 projects totaling about 500 or 600 beds. We have another few residential care facilities in the pipeline. One recently went before the City Council, and that was about another 357 bed project that's in the pipeline. I think overall, approved, built, constructed, or otherwise entitled, there's about 1,100 to 1,200 beds that have been entitled or otherwise reviewed here in the city. So there's a lot going on in the residential care facility world, and why maybe a 12-bed one is being difficult to get funded, perhaps. But that is something that has since changed since 2009 when the project was first approved.
Very good. Other questions of staff? Comments? Commissioner Castleberry?
So I think back to the Runkle Canyon time extension we just granted, and I said during that meeting that that 3-year time extension was the last one I would consider for that project, and I think that project is offering a need for the community at this point. If this project's unable to gain the financing as an assisted living facility, I just don't see myself approving an extension of this. The 1,100 number figure is helpful to know that that's what we currently have approved, unbuilt, or built in the city. Based upon the applicant's comments, I don't feel that she'll be able to obtain the financing in the next 2 years under this current project. Now, I mean, we could definitely, if something else comes back, I'd be happy to look at that, but at this point, I don't see myself approving this time extension.
I have a question for staff, Jennifer Stratus. Is there any limitation in the number of extensions that we can give? I see that there's one that by administration, or administrative approval, you can give one. Planning Commission can keep giving them again and again?
Yeah, if the planning commission feels that the circumstances meet the warrants of the extension, then we can continue to keep giving extensions.
Okay, and so the original project, the permits and whatever she's done, that just continues on in
Right.
perpetuity?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Rice?
Yeah, this is 10 years. This has been a long time. Based on the applicant's comments, I think a 3-year time extension is too long, but I'd be willing to consider a 1 or 2-year extension to the project, but no longer than that. And I honestly, I kind of lean on towards Commissioner Castleberry that we've already extended this, what has it been, 3 times now? And that's a long time, but and as you've said, with that many units, I just don't understand how, I think she's going to have the same problem getting financing for this, so.
I have a comment on that.
Sure.
We have a number of projects that are, there's at least one project over at Tapo and Cochrane, which is well along.
Yeah.
And I assume that they're going to be built and ready for business inside probably before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Would that be a semi-accurate estimate?
Yeah, Tapo Cochrane, the Tapo Canyon.
Tapo Canyon.
Yeah, yes, yeah,
Okay.
correct.
And then let's suppose that place fills up quickly and manages to command a price point which would meet the financial needs of this particular project. Then she would build it. If it fails to provide that kind of applicable raw data, actual data, then she indicated that within 1 or 2 years, she's looking at, pulling the plug and doing something differently.
Right.
And so possibly a senior project. So instead of compelling her to do something different and do a senior project, I'm inclined to say, okay, there's been no changes whatsoever in the area that would warrant us not approving it now if this project came to us seeking an approval. Suppose the project came to us seeking an approval. We would probably, and that's just a guess, but my thinking is that the considerations that came around for the time that it was approved, the time that it was administratively approved for an extension, and the other times that it was provided with an extension continue to exist and are flat. There's been no demonstrative changes. Let this project be approved and remain approved. She could actually withdraw it tomorrow and start coming in with a senior project or some other project tomorrow. But giving her the opportunity not to have to start from scratch and have this opportunity to keep it and let this other project at Tapo Canyon and Cochrane Street to open and provide the financial basis for an actual demonstrative profitability analysis that she would be able to go to somewhere and say, look, they're commanding X dollars per room. X dollars per room provides me, you pencil out, you do a pro forma, and we're in the black. And the bank says, great, build it. We may find out that these projects which we approved may be insufficient for the needs. I'm not sure. There's no evidence whatsoever that we've heard today regarding vacancy rates for similar, projects. All we've heard is that she, at this point, hasn't been able to gain financing. Since she has the idea that she's going to, make a decision within the next year or two, and could come tomorrow with another project, why not provide the extension? I don't think that it's necessarily holding up the development of this project. And there's the other piece that I like about this project. Patricia Street is a pressured street when it comes to density and intensity of use.
True.
This project takes that same parcel, and I think it would be entirely self-sufficient. I don't think you're not going to see a lot of people parking on the street as a result of this project. If it turns into something else that it could turn into, such as high-density apartments, then we have even more of the pressure that we've talked about here at length at times before about the difficulties with parking and just the intensity of use of there. This project uses the parcel for something that will not provide further pressure on the rest of the neighborhood. So I like the project, and I'd be inclined. I'm hopeful that she manages to get it done. And if she doesn't manage to get it done, then come back and show us a senior project, which we would appreciate. I'm inclined to give her the extension. Those are my thoughts.
I think in as much as the amount of money that she spent to bring it this far, and the fact that it's a good project, in my opinion, I think that maybe doing a 2-year extension versus a 3-year extension would be appropriate. Based upon her comments, it makes like nothing's going to happen for a year minimum. But I think to keep the project in place, I think is a good thing with an extension.
Commissioner Mann?
It costs nothing to give the extension. I mean, bottom line is she has already spent money on coming forward this far with the project. Like Chairman Hodge said, if it was a brand new project and you were to come forth, realistically, based on what I've read and what I've seen, you would probably walk away with an approval. To deny the extension and then in a year from now or 6 months or 2 years from now, have you come back and have you spend all the same money again, I could not do that. My conscience would not allow it. So I would have no problem with the extension. I would like to see you do the project, whether it be the assisted living or whether it be a senior, but obviously it has to be predicated on your financing. I just don't see any reason to penalize you for whatever reason is preventing you from going forward, to have to spend the money, hassle, aggravation. As much as our city is easy to work with, good conscience, I cannot see you make you start again from square one and spend the same money. So I would like to see the project done. I think it's a great looking project, but it has to make financial sense for you. I'm not going to make your financial considerations worse than what they are now by making you start again. So I would have fundamentally no problem with granting the same 3-year extension.
Further comments?
I think you make a compelling case, Commissioner Hodge, so I have no problem with the 3-year extension.
Very good. Commissioner McAllister?
I think you also make a compelling case. I would prefer to see a 2-year extension, as Commissioner Tolson had stated, but at the same time, bringing up the idea of the consideration of parking on Patricia, I think that is particularly compelling because it is definitely under high stress in terms of parking and traffic on Patricia. I just worry that if we continue approving extensions past 10 years, it just sets a precedent that people can hold on to the land and not develop it. But is there any possibility of us doing a 2-year extension instead of a 3-year extension?
As part of that analysis, I'd ask the Deputy Director to explain the costs of bringing in terms of staff as well as to the applicant of bringing a project back for, say she was nearing 2 years and was close to getting going, but she needed another year extension at the end of 2 years. What would that look like for the work for the city and the cost to the applicant?
Yeah, there is a fee involved for doing these sorts of time extensions, so the applicant is paying for the staff time to do all the processing here. In city time, a year or two is very quick. We think 3 years and 10 years is a long time, but sometimes it does take this long for projects to get approved through the whole entitlement process, and then afterwards, the plan checking, the review, the banking, the financing, it does take time. So the applicant seemed to feel that in her testimony that 1 to 2 years would be sufficient to make a decision. If it takes a little bit longer than that, sometimes we've worked with applicants to perhaps file an extension, but maybe also get them into plan check around the same time if it's that close. If that 2 years is deadline's coming up and we can kind of race to get a building permit issued. We've done that with some applicants where if they get their building plan check permit in time, then we'll return the extension. It's like, okay, you got it in, you don't need to do it. But if they, for some reason, there's a hiccup, then we'll give them we'll go through the other extension process with perhaps a permit pending.
And what kind of money are you looking at for the average extension application?
Jennifer, do you remember off the top of your head?
I believe it's about $3,000 or so dollars. I'd have to, I can look up the fee, I can look up the fee receipt right now. Yeah, it's around $3,000, about $3,500, including the environmental.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my thoughts, I very much appreciate the notion, and I think I was on the same side one time when somebody came through, I think it was a project on Cochrane Street, and I was sort of flummoxed about providing another 3-year extension. As I recall, it went down 4-1 against me, which was common a few years ago. But on this one, yeah, I'm still in the 3-year boat. I appreciate very much, the open-mindedness to review, to consider some of the other thoughts. I take it it's 2 years, and Commissioner Tolson, Tolson, are you at 2 years or 3 years?
I'm okay with 3.
You're okay with 3?
Yeah.
Commissioner Mann?
I'm okay with 3.
I'm still okay with 3, so it seems like the consensus. I'm sorry? Or at least the majority. Thank you. So, anything else to add, say, want to contribute?
I think she had, Jennifer.
I'm sorry, I needed to correct the amount was around $6,000.
6,000?
Yeah.
For the extension.
Yeah, yes.
Starts sounding like real money. Okay. Well, it's real money to me. I mean, that's good chips. All right. May I have a reading of the resolution?
Resolution number SVPC 03-2019, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Simi Valley denying, that's not right.
I think you had the wrong number.
Go ahead, you start over.
It's S661. It's worded incorrectly.
Oh, no, that's what's in there.
Okay. Resolution number SVPC 06-2019, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Simi Valley approving a time extension for CUP-S-661-TE number 3.
Chair will now entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Tolson. I just want to call you Toland. I don't know why. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Mann. Call for the vote. The motion passes. The approval period, the appeal period for the time extension is 14 calendar days. Of course, I don't think you're going to extend your, rather appeal your approval, but there is, I guess, somebody else who on the other side could appeal it. Proceed to the next item. There is no other item. Your application has been approved, ma'am. Okay. Oral communications and reports.
Yeah, I did want to speak directly to Mr. Vernon Gildeer for, thank you for your comments earlier tonight about the project on Walnut Hills. I did want you to know and the audience to know that that project has been appealed by the applicant, and it will be going to the City Council at an upcoming public hearing. As of today, that hearing has been scheduled for July 29th. And so if you're concerned about this project, please make sure you attend that meeting and voice your concerns to the City Council on the evening of July 29th. Okay? Other than that, I've been remiss into doing this previously, but I do want to sincerely thank Mrs. Karen Smith for helping us out as recording secretary. We are going through a recording secretary hiring process, but it sure is nice to have a reliable person like Ms. Smith here, Mrs. Smith, to help us out on these sorts of evenings. So thank you very much, Karen. Other than that, no other public comments, or no other staff comments.
Do the commissioners have anything to report?
No.
Seeing none, Mobile Home Rent Mediation Board,
Nothing tonight?
Tree Advisory Board?
Nothing tonight.
Okay, after 34 minutes, this concludes the meeting of, we had a pool going, and I won. Because I pushed the meeting forward. This concludes the meeting of May 8, 2019. The next scheduled meeting will be May 22nd, 2019. Thank you very much.
Good night.